Hello again, my name is Lee and I'm Ned. This is Ned. And we have watched some classic TV this week, haven't we? Yeah, we watched an episode of The Twilight Zone. Yeah, a random one. Yeah, we picked a random one. We ended up with a long one. Watched one from season 4 in which all the episodes are an hour long. It was long. It was a bit unnecessarily long, wasn't it? Yeah. It's okay though. Right, let's get into it. The episode we watched was from season 4 and it was called The New Exhibit. So every episode of The Twilight Zone has an introduction from Rod Serling, and the introduction to this episode was as follows. Hey. What? I'll do it. Oh, right, okay. Well, I've written it down so we can remember. Narton Londard Sinescu, a gentleman, the dedicated curator of Murderers Row in Ferguson's Wax Museum. He thunders the reasons why ordinary men are driven to commit mass murder. What Mr. Sinescu does not know is that the groundwork has already been laid for his own special kind of madness and torment found only in the Twilight Zone. Sinescu is a museum worker. He works with waxworks, and he works with waxworks of famous serial bad guys. Yeah. People who have done really bad things. So Jack the Ripper, people like that. Yeah. And then he finds out the museum is going to close. He can't believe it. It's his whole life. He is distraught. And he doesn't want the waxworks to be melted down or taken away and destroyed or put in a bin or anything like that. So he takes them home. He takes them home and keeps them in his basement. His wife is not happy. Oh no. And when the waxworks are in the house, strange things happen at night. Martin Sinescu goes downstairs for a drink during the night and he thinks he sees something move out the corner of his eye. It's creepy. Yeah, and he starts to speak to the waxworks. They don't speak back or anything. No, that'd be crazy, yeah. But he speaks to them and he's basically beginning to imagine they're alive, isn't he? Yeah. His life is like you are losing it, Nate. His wife is also not happy because the electricity bills are going through the roof because Martin is using a lot of electricity on a lot of air conditioning to keep the waxworks in optimal temperature. Yeah, because otherwise the night melt. Yeah, but his wife doesn't like it. She says, we're losing all this money for these waxworks that you're doing nothing with. No one's ever going to see them. You might as well just get rid of them. And she goes down one night to try to get rid of them while Martin's asleep. Yeah, that guess what happens. She goes near a waxwork figure of Jack the Ripper and she trips up and Jack the Ripper's knife falls down and that's the end of her. So Martin finds out what's happened. He's a bit upset. Not that upset. Yeah, you'd think he'd be more upset that his wife was taken out in this tragic accident. However, he just buries her body in the basement. Yeah, he's a weirdo. He actually is. Pretty soon, her brother comes to pay a visit and he's looking for his sister, Martin's wife. He begins to suspect something is amiss when he can't find his sister and Martin's acting all shifty and shady. So when Martin goes out, the brother decides to break into the house and he breaks in through the basement. And while he's in the basement, he also gets too close to a waxwork figure. Martin Hicks. Yeah, Martin Hicks, who was another historical bad person. Yeah, let's say that. Yeah, a serial bad person. You get it. And this serial bad person, waxwork, is holding an axe. And the axe somehow falls onto the brother. And he's also out of the game. He is out of the game. Martin comes home, finds this body, decides, I'll bury this one as well. So he does. Yeah. But then he gets some good news. He does. His old boss, who used to own the waxwork museum that he worked at, Mr. Ferguson, gets in touch with Martin to tell him some good news. Another museum is interested in buying the figures. He could be rich. Now Mr. Ferguson has popped round to tell Martin this. He's so excited. And he goes down to the basement and starts measuring up the waxwork models. Yeah, he's got a tape measure and he's thinking, right, this is how he'll ship this is how he'll sell this is how he'll package this, and he gets too close to one of the waxworks, and he ends up next to another serial bad person, Henri Desiree Landru, who was a serial bad person. Yep. And he ends up also being taken out. Yeah, it's getting weirder. It is. Again, Martin comes downstairs with a nice cup of tea, and he sees his old boss lying there, having been taken out by the waxworks. So Martin speaks to the waxworks, and he threatens them. Uh-oh, bad idea. And one by one, the waxwork figures begin to come to life, don't they? Yeah, and they tell him, this is all in your imagination, Martin. You are hallucinating. It was actually you who did this to your boss, and to your vice brother, and to your wife. Not us. You can blame us that it's all in your mind. We fast forward months later to this museum called the Marchand Museum, and it's a wax museum, and it has its own wing, its own section of serial bad people. Yeah, it's got Jack the Ritter, Henri Desiree Landru, and Martin Sinescu. Martin has gone down in history as a serial bad person because of what he did to his boss, his wife's brother, and his wife. And now he has become one of the wax figures he so admired. And that's the end of the episode. Now, we went over it very quickly there, very briefly, but I think we got the whole story covered pretty much. As I said, it could have been half the length. It could have been a 30-minute episode, but it was okay, wasn't it? Good episode, good story, just a little bit too long, a little bit run out at times, but I guess that's the curse of season 4. I guess so. Now, we didn't just watch that episode, we watched another random episode. Yeah, this is shorter. Yeah, this was from season 1, and this episode was called People Are Alike All Over. Do you want to read the little introduction from Rod Serling? Yeah. You're looking at a species of flimsy little two-legged animals with extremely small heads whose name is Nan. Warren Narkison, age 35, Samuel A. Conrad, age 31. They're taking a highway into Stace. Nan unshackling himself and sending his tiny, groping fingers up into the unknown. Their destination is Nars, and in just a moment we'll land there with them. Wait, what is it? What? We'll land there with them in the Twilight Zone. That's what it should say. Yeah, early on, not all episodes ended with in the Twilight Zone or from the Twilight Zone. They should. They do sound better when they end with the Twilight Zone. So this episode stars Roddy McDowall. Who? You know Roddy McDowall. Do you? Was he in Askill? No. Do you remember we watched the Planet of the Apes movies? Yeah, he was Cornelius. Oh yeah. And he was also Milo. What? Yep. And he was also Caesar. Really? He played them all? Yeah, they're all descendants of each other. So he played them all. That is really cool. It is. Well, it's the same character, really. Well. So Roddy McDowall is playing Samuel Conrad, an astronaut, and he heads to Mars with his co-pilot and friend, Masterson. They crash land on Mars. Marcuson is severely injured. Conrad isn't actually a trained astronaut. He's like a biologist or something like that who's been sent along to study the place, right? So he is sitting there inside the ship with a severely wounded partner, and something is tapping on the outside of the spaceship. Scary. Now Marcuson really wants Conrad to open the door. He's begging him, he's saying, don't worry, because people are alike all over. I'm sure whatever beings are here are just like us. They have the same morals and same values, and they'll look after you like we would do with a visitor on Earth. I don't know if they did. I don't know if we would either. If beings came from another planet, I think the first thing our species would do is put them on a table and get them under the scalpel. Yeah, tragedy. Yeah. Eventually, Conrad opens the door. Marcus sadly doesn't make it, but Conrad meets the Martians, and guess what they look like? Oh, I know what they look like. Yeah, they look like humans. Okay, except they all got blonde hair. They all wear robes. They're all very fancy-nancy. Yeah, they're a bit fancy. They're culturally advanced, and they speak to Conrad in what seems to be English, but they explain that they're using their own telekinetic powers to make it sound like it's English, whereas Conrad is just speaking his language, and the Martians are just speaking their own language, but with their powers, it all sounds the same. So the Martians convince Conrad that there's nothing to fear, they don't mean him any harm. He comes out, and he's beginning to think, maybe Marcuson was right, maybe people are alike all over. And the Martians look after Conrad, they take him a little trip, let him have a look around the place, let him meet some of the other Martians. Yeah, and then they even give him a house. They give him a house, which looks like a house he would have on Earth. Yeah, it's got wallpaper, it's got everything, wallpaper and a sofa, and I think it's got cigarettes, yeah, of course, yeah. It's 1960, so yeah. Bury Marcuson's body to show that they're not savages. And Conrad settles into his new home quite well. He has a little whiskey, he sits and relaxes, and eventually, to his horror, he realises he's not just in a house, he's actually in a zoo. Yet, there's a sign outside his house that says, human being in his natural habitat. Conrad is very upset by this. There's no escape. And he eventually realises, Marcuson, you were right. People really are alike all over. And in this episode we got a little outro from Rod Serling. Yeah, I'll read it. Okay. Species of animal brought back alive. Interesting similarity in physical characteristics to human beings. In head, trunk, arms, legs, hands, feet. Very tiny, underdeveloped brain. Comes from primitive planet named Earth. Calls himself Samuel Conrad, and he'll remain here in his cage with the running water and the electricity and the central heating as long as he lives. Samuel Conrad has found the Twilight Zone. There it is, that's why it wasn't in the intro. Yeah, so what do you think of this episode? It was good, it's quite short, well, compared to a season 4 episode, it was quite short. Yeah, and it fitted everything in nicely. Yeah. And what do you think of the Martians? Well, they're just basically humans. They're only human after all. They're only human. Right, enough. Quite a good story. Yeah, really cool. That's quite a little bittersweet ending. At least he's alive and he's on Mars. He'll never get back to Earth though, and he'll never have freedom. So is there any sweetness at all to the bittersweet? Probably not. Like you say, at least he's alive and he has his health. Yeah. So that's what we watched this week. A couple of episodes of the Twilight Zone. We're going to keep coming back to Twilight Zone, aren't we? Every now and again. We're not going to watch it all at once, but we're going to come back to it over the next few months and watch a couple of episodes at a time and speak to you about them right here. Yeah. We're going to go, but thank you so much for watching. Yeah, thanks. Not me. Thank you. Please hit like, please subscribe. Check out the other videos on this channel. They're building up and we would like to see the likes and the subscribers build up as well. Yeah, that'd be great. Yep, and we will see you next time. Look after yourself. Bye.